But before we start this program, we're going to do what we call a libation. Sister Ashida, will you come in front here and then we get a libation? Drummers, come out and start beating your drum.
Welcome to the area. First, I'd like to start with the breath of air. Because without that, we would not be here. Trust me. I could tell you about that. So we're going to just take a little breathing through the nose. Let it out through the mouth. And relax the body. Put yourself in the time and place of our people right in this area. Another one, another deep breath. Gain the fresh breeze to give us a good energy. Let it out. The last one big deep breath. And let it out. Thank you. As a customary of our ancestors, I would ask one of the elder in the area for permission to continue. Opa, hear you. Now I like a young person, a youthie, for permission to continue. Thank you. Like I said, I am Queen of Sheba, and welcome. And as you can see, I have somebody stand up here, Miss Brother Prophet Julian. He's going to be a part of the program right now. He's assisting me with the mic. Lady Roll, ayo, 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 Lady Roll. Lady Roll, lay how we pass, we coming for our freedom. Our mental freedom. I could sing, you know. Lady Roll, ayo, 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 Lady Roll. That was the energy our people had. So without further ado, I am here for libation to give honor to our ancestors who took part in July 3rd Emancipation, 1848. Libation is a process of pouring water to the earth and recognizing our ancestors and giving thanks. So I shall begin that process. I'm using a provide us with shelter, food, clothing, and when our body depart from this earth, she provide a resting place for us. So Ashe is what we would say. So here I go to honor our spirits. I will pour in front of me. That's for the ancestors who went before me, make it possible for me to be here. I will pour on the left side of me. In case I'm straying, they tell me, hey, move back. Now I'm sharing on the left, giving thanks and praises to those who keep me up from conquering. I pour behind me for those who keep my back. I'm starting with my right hand because right here I am asking my ancestors to guide us, lead us, to give us the cojones you have to face the system of things. So I give honor to General Muro. Let me hear Ashe. Martin King. Oh yes, there were many, many in the fleet, like Williams, Jay, and Samuel and Jacob and Betty and Elizabeth, and Ebenezer. There's about a list with about 100 slaves who were arrested or died. And I say Ashe to them. Now I will say Ashe to you all. And one of the last things I'm going to ask of the Divine One is to protect us. So anyone that farm any evil, plan any evil on us, it will go back to the sender. And at the end, I shall cover my back. No, I won't pay back home. But right now, this is like our protection. I don't for you. I want to thank you. Thanks to the drummers. Lady Road, I know Lady Road. Lady Road, there we bounce, we coming for our freedom. Mental. I thank you. Now you're here with us. I can enjoy the true story. And with that is me.
Africans them, hear the drums, started fire, and the campbell was the wee hours in the morning. Oh Lord, plantation. Arcadia win. House war. Go, golden, go, green and light. Yes. House better than Cain. And it's in your mind. It's freedom now. Guess what you was the widow? When they get down here in the tossing, what was thinking in the mind of those who were the police? What they were thinking, I don't know. Ay, ay, ay. Yes, you understand. Yes. Okay, they reached down Frederiksted now. They reached down Frederiksted now. My beloved family, we have a wonderful sister when you come up here. She's a performance you next on the agenda. Keep the camera rolling. Because we want to tell you the way it was. This was July 2nd. We just saw how they came to you. Stand. Sister. And you see the back and ready and she got a girl with a guitar. Stand this. You got a guitarist up here. Put the camera in, make sure we get it right. Yes, my beautiful family, we thank you. We're going to be here for a long time tonight. As usual, faces in the place. Mario will be speaking later on. Many hours, Mario will be speaking. But dear sister, we are waiting for you. I kind of worried about today because there was a time when we just come in parks, had a tornado, roll up, rain come down, the wind blowing. Yes, it was on this day after the Reverend libation. And people were running to the water. My three brothers ran out to the beach and had to run back up because the waves were coming. I wonder what happened. There was a brother called Adelbert, right? The always teachers, keep your eyes on the prize and don't play. Now they're waiting and you're not going to preach it. I got my time to make my presentation. Let me go ahead because tonight we have a wonderful time. And after all of that commotion come around, everybody said after the African did the libation, spirits that flow. If you come in Frederiksted in the night, sometimes you feel a spirit in you when the park is quiet. And those of us who have understanding of the time and what must be done are saying, look, brothers and sisters, talking to us.
Beautiful people, my name is Derry. Thank you so much to my UCA family for having me here today as we honor the ancestors. Oh, sweet, can you see by the blood in the street that this place doesn't smile on you, colored child, whose blood built this land with sweat and their hands. But you'll die in this place, and your memory erased. Oh, say, does that oh say Does this truth hold anyway? This is not the land of the free, but the home of the slave. Also today, I'm going to be accompanied by Bentley on guitar. Weight on my shoulder, pulling it out. Oh, I've got eyes in the back of my head, just in case I have to run. I do what I can when I can, what I can for my people. While the clouds roll back and the stars will align, so I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. We are going to a brand new home across the river. I freedom calling, calling me to enter. Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones. Early in the morning, before the sun begins to shine, we're gonna start moving towards a separating line. Wading through muddy water, God, I made up my mind. And I don't mind if I lose any blood on the way to salvation. And I'll fight with the strength that I've got until I die. Gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. Across the river, I hear freedom calling, calling me to enter. Gonna keep on keeping on. And I know what's around the bend might be hard to face 'cause I'm alone. And I just might fail, but Lord knows I'll try. Just as stars fill up the sky, stand up, take my people with me. We are going to a brand new home. Across the river, I hear freedom calling, calling me to enter. Gonna keep on keeping on. I'm gonna stand up, take my people I go to prepare a place for you. I go to prepare a place for you. I go to prepare a place for you. Thank you so much, people.
It was great, man. There, next coming up to you is a struggle continue. We got young man in Devon Carrington. It's going to give a presentation to the struggle continue.
The struggle must go on. So we are here today to commemorate and celebrate the 175th anniversary of the work of those Virgin Islanders who came before us in the struggle. The struggle to be free and to be recognized as human beings. Human beings worthy of determining their own destiny. The actions of those that came before us and their heroic deeds allow us to no longer be in physical chains. They sent the message that determined people can't prevail. But there is another message that their actions sent us. That is, that the struggle continues and the struggle must go on. In 1733, when our black brothers and sisters on our sister island of St. John fought and died for their freedom, they sent the same message. The struggle must go on. They demonstrated that a people determined to be free, to live their lives in the way that they choose, can be strong enough to resist the greatest combined European military forces of that time. And even though the victory of our ancestors was brief, through their actions, they sent the clear message that the struggle must go on. And the masses of the people that participated in the actions that led to our physical emancipation in 1848, those we are here to commemorate today, understood that those who fought and died in St. John in 1733 expected that the struggle must go on. Martin King, Moses Gottlieb, and the rest of the heroes understood clearly that the struggle must go on. They understood that the actions of those in St. John in 1733 was not the end of the struggle. They understood that their actions were only one stage in a larger struggle. That their actions were just one major battle in a larger war. A struggle, a war for complete human rights. The leaders in our emancipation struggle understood the message. The struggle continues and the struggle must go on. And so, contribution to the struggle of those brothers and sisters in 1848 was to break the chains that held us physically captive. But they knew, even though they did their part, that the struggle must continue, the struggle must go on. In 1878, the brave queens and kings of the firebomb were also clear in their understanding that the struggle must go on. They did not think that the emancipation of 1848 was the end of our struggle. They were not satisfied to be free of chains when the economic system of the time continued to treat them just like slaves. They realized that every human being has the right to decide his or her own destiny, and that similarly, we Virgin Islanders as a nation of people have that human right. Our brothers and sisters in 1878 were free of chains, but not free to determine their own destiny. So they fought because they knew that the struggle must go on. I can never be convinced that those who came before us and struggled for the right of Virgin Islanders as a people to be free from chains and free from slave-like economic conditions would ever be satisfied with changing one foreign power over us for another foreign power. I can never be convinced that they will accept that the same people they fought against, the very nations that struggled and fought to determine their own destiny, should have the power to prevent us from determining our own destiny. That is why the struggle must go on. And I can never be convinced that Rothschild Francis, D. Hamilton Jackson, Edward Wilman Blythe, Hubert Harrison, and countless other civil rights and human rights warriors of our Virgin Islands would be convinced that where we are today as a people is the end of the struggle that they fought for. I'm not convinced. That is why the struggle must go on. Today, we are still not free to decide our own destiny. So the struggle must go on. So long as the Supreme Court of the United States continues to depend on cases that refer to us as savages, not able to understand the ways of the white man, the struggle must go on. And as long as our young men are sent to war to fight for a country that refuses to let us fully enjoy the rights and privileges enjoyed by others, a country that refuses to recognize we have the right to self-determination, then the struggle must go on. As long as the masses of our people celebrate July 4th Independence Day of another people who fought for their own right to self-determination, but our people do not gather to celebrate our physical emancipation, then the struggle must continue. So long as our elected representatives think it's more important to take bribes from the rich and do their bidding rather than work for the collective, the struggle must go on. So long as we continue to cut down our trees, some of them who were here to witness the emancipation and the firefight, the struggle must go on. And as long as we refuse to teach our children the greatness of the history, so that they can then know their own potential for greatness, the struggle must continue. Until the Constitution we have written is the law of this land, the struggle continues. And as long as the 175th Emancipation Commemoration Committee can dishonor our ancestors by dismissing those among us today who have consistently carried the torch passed down from our ancestors, the struggle must continue. So the message, this 175th anniversary of our physical emancipation, must be that the struggle must continue for mental emancipation and ultimately self-determination. That struggle must go on. Our ancestors fought and died for it. And if we truly honor and respect their sacrifices and their accomplishments, we must insist and persist in the struggle. The struggle must go on.
We are not going to July 3rd because it's a similarity going on here. What happened on July 12th with black folks here? We as a people, black folks, have a serious problem. We have a government that don't care about your children. Let me repeat that. The commissioners that don't care about your children. Back in the time of General Bodo, they deserted Frederiksted and everything was going in Christiansted. That's why they should get passing. But let me tell you something about government infiltration. You have got to wake up. All of you want to vote for Brandon Natica administration and go yourself and they can't. It is no way you can say that July 3rd emancipation of black folks will go ahead and the Canada will give us. There is no program for boys over the age of 13 up. What the hell, the government shut it down for that daycare? Well, let me tell you something. I am angry, you know why? I got 3 dead bodies here on the street. That they shut down a program they used to come to, and because I'm upset they are too. You have it in the bus around, you give them a joint and start them selling, and then they get in trouble. And then they go falling and get killed. You know why? There is no place for them older boys who are reaching out to try to find a place in the sun that is positive. You do not have no more basketball league running for them. Frederiksted has no more baseball league. You have to shut them to one team. The police athletic league, what was really doing carpentry, mechanic, electronics, my school player and carpentry. The chairman they're doing it. They shut it down to put a daycare. What kind of government do we have? We have a government that do not care about your children, and you sit back and you ignore it. That's why I'm talking to you. Why? Because most of you are now there been fighting to help these children to do something other than do not never come into crazy. Look what they did. They spent a lot of money, went to some conference with marijuana. Then they got the marijuana. They come back and they have some big plan. When they come back with the big plan, they make a hit. And right now the building limbo. How much money they spend? They got to half the money and give it to the program. Let me tell you what your government. You're not shut down every building they get ready today. They shut down the library. They shut down the old folks' home. They shut down custom house. They shut down all of the school. They got the, what you call a building, Matul for Arthur Richard. They shut it down. They went to Alexander school, they did the lumber yard. They got to charge the man at school, they then got the junkyard. Oh man, this is, let me tell you something, family. We are even worse in the time. We had master at least for feeding us. We had master used to put a whip on our, I mean, we don't go for the time you go back before the fire, but they reject Christians, send down, Frederiksted down, but all the young ones have one charity, they down. And there's the same thing happening now. Then you can tell me the only thing they can turn around and do is come up and legalize marijuana. I gave anybody $50,000 if you show me a study where they study 10,000 people marijuana, right? That's John Soros, a white man who went around the world. Let me tell you, I want $1 billion in the street. And I am telling you, I got children right here. I bring them down today. So they go here. Who bought the weed? Am I crazy? Who take it? Hey, if you are done with the crap, you know about the beer, because really want to talk to all the children. You take the cookie, smart the cookie, and you know where the devil is going to get it crazy. Ain't whatever you want to smoke is fine, but when you let them, don't sell it to them. Don't like give it to them. This is a time, family, where we got to go back to family. Brothers, stop making baby here and there and everywhere, man. Stop that. Sisters, stop taking up any kiss with young man and making babies with them. This is our problem as African people. We are making babies like in the pig and we ain't taking care of them because of Uncle Sam. The same white man you constantly feed with. This whole place here is a welfare state for the federal government. You don't like white people. Let me tell you something, right? There is nobody here can tell me this is a lie. If the KKK being in power, they do a better job than what our commission is doing. You can't tell me the Department of Public Safety shut down recruiting a police officer. What they plan to do with police officer here? They do it. They tell me they shut down the PAL program. They tell me they shut down the building in Williams like they had. They take a woman and sit down and squeeze her head for the foot. She directed PAL program. How could she direct a PAL program with been for 50 years? Produce electrician, mechanic, contractors, and turn it in a daycare, and we sit back and shut our mouth.
That's right.
In the Senate, we got Kenny and Melvin, 2 police officers, man. They know that that commission doing nothing. And when they come in here and they don't ask you, you know why? All of them is friends, they give you. They're making money, don't give a you and your damn children.
Go ahead.
It's about time you wake up, man. Wake up. We can no longer have these people in government. There's a white man out there who gets sick. He come out and he got next for another thing. All the black children running to him. They want to shut the man down. He's fear when you go to children there. Deep your narrow. Stop by your madness, son. Let the white man go with one and teach our children there. We can do more for our children than goddamn black boy coming smoking drug, making beer, waste yard. Somebody got to tell us about our badness. Somebody has to tell us.
Teacher.
Let me go ahead. Because in reality, we are destroying our children when we worship in the madness. I know I'm got people upset with me talking about that. But it's time, and this particular day, when we got General Boral Man King was trying to get black people to be free from the oppression of the white man. Judge Soros, I got to tell you, propagandists around the world. And the new weed you smoking will send you crazy. And it's going to make you produce children with autism, with little slowness. Now, my dear family, I forgive this one, brother, man. And we don't forgive them because we want family. We want family. But you disagree, don't get disagreeable. Don't get disagreeable. Just prove me wrong with your facts. I just really and truly say to you, family, it is time. It is time that we stand up and try to get our government to listen to us. We are got to come together in some kind of way to tell this present administration that his commissioner failed him. They failed him. You can imagine I am saying to you, all them children, let me tell you the project. And I say, get out them time. This boy, 13 years old. 13 years old, Mr. 12 years old. I've been a group of them down here to tell them to talk and stand up and pay with it, so I tell them because they're losing their mind. And nobody wants to address that, but I can address it because the week of the consultant now is trying our youth. No mind them, there is nobody here can tell me the white things are like if I live it with them children for the past constantly COVID coming. I got a night and day in my house.
That's right.
I got parents coming to tell me, God, you the wife when I drink the vaccine up.
That's right.
Why would I stay here and don't talk about it? Filthiness that the marijuana messing you up and you need nobody to smoke and you come in walking up to you now. You people, you talk to me. I can't believe you doing here, man. Man, I like that. What is it?
Sure. No idea.
A1, A2, A3 is a lot of children. Then they do back stuff before they came out from there. Go for why our children violence to the family? Why the family is so divided? We haven't been like that. There is something that we drink in and eat it, causing our children to go paranoid. And if you don't want to do what you justify. I am telling you, night and day, I got to wrestle with them. I got to go knock on doors. Hey, better cool down, that's your father, man. Don't tell me about your father thing. Up to you. I know my dear family. I talk a little long, I upset someone. But you not upset us to love you. Because I'm telling you, it's not but the truth, but the whole truth. Your parents are there who agree with me, who went through this madness. Your brothers out there who burn the weed and speeding going up the road, 23 that brother man, was so high. That gun was so cool. What are you going to give people that stop number this, man? Next, I want to tell you after this presentation, we're going to have a circle around this Malaysia. Come on up. Sister going to tell her about this circle around this building. They're going to represent some deepness and discord that you like. And I tell you, the children is the prize. And the mighty del blood grant, I tell you, he was crucified because he wanted you to know your history.
Yeah.
And if you don't know your history, we'll not be in the misery we're in now. Because our children want to be like everybody except the pretty little black sand. We need that kind of thing to make us happy. The only thing that make us happy is a good family with a mommy and daddy and grandmother. The only thing that make the island, make the villages all over. Where the village live together in unity and harmony. Don't let your sorrows bring all this goddamn talking and me smoking and telling me, hey, it's the make you Irish. What makes you Irish, black man? It's a black woman.
Go ahead.
What makes you black woman is a black man. We gotta love one another. We gotta look at each other and try to say that's my neighbor children and deal with your neighbor children. We gotta do that. And this place never change. Our boys shooting down one another left and right. And we got commissioner of public safety. He need a Jesus Christ about terrorism policeman. Policemen are afraid to open their mouth because foolishness is doing. They can't survive to say. Because I know what they're doing.
Good evening, brothers and sisters. We're asking everyone that assist us to make a circle around the bandstand. This is where the women post was located during the time our ancestors were enslaved. We're asking everyone if we can make a circle around the bandstand. We're here in Frederiksted representing this day that our ancestors demanding their freedom.
All this is acts to be done to give respect to all our ancestors that was whipping here and the whipping pole. So what would I like everybody to do? If you want to close the eye, you want to bow, but we're going to give a moment of silence in the name of our ancestors. Starting now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for making this wonderful circle. The circle of one love, one aim, one destiny. All the youngsters now who are involved in this program step up to the stage. We now get to the part of the program where the Emancipation inventors you present. Step in front, stage. Smiling, sister. You better face me. You give the mic. Come on up.
We have young people here today that are going to present freedom fighters and inventors. And we've chosen freedom fighters specifically because we're celebrating the 175th anniversary of Emancipation. And what happened here on St.Croix, the significance of what happened here on St.Croix is significant throughout the Caribbean. There was no other island in the Caribbean where the people rose up and said, give us our freedom or else. It happened here on St. Croix only. All the other islands, other than Haiti, they had to wait for the white man to give it to them. So we're asking our young people to present these freedom fighters in representation and inventors in representation of that ancestral spirit that we all carry with us. So we will begin with young Tenkara, and she will be presenting for you this afternoon.
Hi, my name is St.Croix, and I'll be reading about automatic elevator doors invented by Alexander Miles in 1887. The use of elevators in everyday life keeps people from facing long lines of several flights of stairs. However, before the creation of elevator doors that close automatically, riding a lift was both complicated and risky. Before automatic doors, people had to manually shut both the shaft and elevator doors before riding. Forgetting to do so led to multiple accidents as people fell down elevator shafts. As the story goes, when the daughter of African-American inventor Alexander Miles almost fatally fell down the shaft, he took it upon himself to develop a solution. In 1887, he took out a patent for a mechanism that automatically opens and closes elevator shaft doors, and his designs are largely reflected in elevators used today. Thank you.
Round of applause for Tenkara. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Next up we have Rohan, and he is doing a presentation.
Hello, my name is Ron, and today we'll be reading Andrew Jackson Beer. Andrew Jackson Beer was born into slavery in Alabama and gained his freedom when he was 15. He invented his own flour mill, a rotary steam engine, and two kinds of plow before he went to work for the railroad in the 1890s. Railroad connected the busy East Coast of the United States with the frontier states in the West. They transformed beer, created his most famous invention, the Jenny Cutler, automatically capturing cars together when they bumped into each other. This made connecting long trains for travel and trade much easier. Before the invention of the Jenny Cutler, workers had to insert a metal pin to link the cars as they came together. They had very dangerous work and beer saw and heard about many gruesome accidents. The Jenny Cutler invention that saved the lives of railroad.
Thank you very much, Rohan. Next up we have Celine.
Good afternoon. I said good afternoon.
Yeah.
So my name is Celine, and today we are celebrating our 175th Emancipation, a legacy in which our ancestors have achieved for us. To be here today, I picked here two major freedom fighters from other islands who we must recognize their bravery here today. The first honorable mention I would like to bring up is Mr. Samuel or Sam Sharp, an enslaved Jamaican man who became a leader and pillar in the Jamaican community. He was the leader of the Christmas Rebellion, well known for being a preacher, leader, and missionary in the Baptist Church. Sharp's organization was to be a peaceful general strike across many estates in the western Jamaica hemisphere to protest working conditions. Originally a peaceful protest turned into Jamaican's largest slave rebellion. This lasted a mere 2 weeks where 200 slaves ended up being killed by Jamaican troops. Sharp ended up being captured and executed. Before his execution, he said, "I would rather die upon yonder gallows than live my life in slavery." The next person I would like to give my honors to is a lady named Cecile Fatman. Cecile was an enslaved woman from St. Dominique, also known as Haiti. She was described to be the descendant of a Frenchman prince and an enslaved woman as her mother. Cecile is known for being a voodoo priestess and figure of the Haitian Revolution. How you may ask? Well, Fatman presided over a ceremony at the Bois Human in the role of Mambo together with the priest Dutty Boukman. A week later, 1,800 plantations had been destroyed and 1,000 slaveholders killed. The reason I have picked these two freedom fighters today is because they stood out to me the most. In personal connection to Mr. Sharp for his statement, he'd rather be dead than a slave. Because personally, I'd rather be dead than be a slave to anybody. Okay, one more. Cecile, not because her name is close to mine, because my name is Celine, but because even though she has white descent, she still stood up and rose above all odds and did what she had to do for the people of Haiti. Thank you.
Thank you. Our fourth presenter, Naya, I do not see her. But we will have more presentations as we go into the program. There will be another group of young people that will come up and do some more freedom fighters and inventors. So thank you again for listening to our young people, and we need to encourage this and all of our young people. When we know where we are from, there's no stopping where we can go. Marcus Messiah Garvey said, a people without knowledge of their history and culture is like a tree without roots. As far as I know, that's a dead tree that's not going to produce any fruit. Correct. These are our fruits. These children are our fruits, and we need to encourage them and fertilize them so that they would grow and grow stronger and wiser. Thank you, and we will continue with our program.
My beloved family, give these youngsters a round of applause. These are children who are learning about that safety, who stood in front of this audience with courage and did a great presentation. I'm proud of all of them, and I'm proud of their parents. Next, we have a presentation by Brother Richard Mohammed from the Nation of Islam. Where's Brother Richard?
Fight it.
And somebody walk a cover.
Fight it right there. Oh, are we waiting now?
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. That is the universal greeting of peace, wishing peace unto all. It's a fitting greeting in this time to bring peace on behalf of the Nation of Islam, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and Mohammed Sadiq here in St.Croix. 2008, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan delivered a historical, a powerful message that lives until today, right here in Bodo Park. How many of you were present 15 years ago for that message? Well, because it's something we want you to share with your children, just like some of the old technology some of us have. Some of us still have DVD, right? Maybe some of us have VHS. But if you have a DVD, then you have the opportunity to show this historic message in living color to your family members. So we're here to make that presentation on behalf of some of our local brothers and sisters who made it possible. We found a few brothers and sisters throughout the community who gave a donation, a contribution, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan offset the difference to send on this 175th commemoration of Emancipation, has sent 175 DVD messages of the 2008 message right here in Bodo Park. So we're not going to give them out to individuals because we don't need 4 and 5 people with a DVD in the same house. But we will give it out to 175 families so that each household has this message. If you don't get one today,
I'll kick it up.
I don't leave my number here. So all you have to do is send me your name and number. We'll make sure that in a few short days, we'll re-up and make sure we have enough for everyone who desires this message. But we're going to give out those that we have to make sure at least 175 families receive this message. Now, I don't know how that translates in numbers because you know, right here in Frederiksted, if you had to, let's say, give out 175 DVDs to some families, you could set 175 DVDs in 175 households, might be about close to 2,000 people. Because it's easy for 175 families in Frederiksted to have 2,000 people. Because we know the greatest blessing is what? Our children. So, we got big families in the west, we got big families in the east. That means just 175 DVDs can reach 10,000 people in households. But anyway, not to delay it any longer, how many families here would like to receive one? Just so I can get an idea how we got it. Just raise your hand. Okay, we got 10 people, that's gonna be quick. I gotta give out 10 DVDs. The last thing before I give out these DVDs, right? Because I wanted to make a difference in what we celebrate here and what we celebrate at other times within our VI culture. I remember years ago, I announced on the final call radio ministry with Minister Farrakhan, I announced I am coming to St. John and I have gifts for you, my people in St. John, from the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. Meet me at Cruise Bay and I come in with these gifts, DVDs. And you know, I went with, I probably had about 100 DVDs. You know, I came back with about 90 of them. Because our people are afraid to receive the truth in front of our former slave masters. So because people watching me, I don't want them to see that I know this is the truth. I don't think this is the spirit that the people here in Freedom City, Frederiksted, today down in Bodopa. How many people here are hiding from the truth? Raise your hand if you love the truth. Raise your hand if you love freedom. Because if it ain't freedom, what is it? Or else. And we know people will get frightened when they hear or else. I come in peace. If you don't accept peace, or else, I come to stop. The last thing I said is Minister Farrakhan's message this year points us to where we are in time. The war of Armageddon has begun. See the DVDs.
God, that July Emancipation speak for the Honorable Farrakhan. Mario is also speaking and that digging too.
Evening, brothers and sisters. As I look around here in Borough Park, the majority of people I'm seeing is African people. But through the course of time, we have called ourselves by different names. This first one is called division. Division, division, division. Africans in the Virgin Islands. What is your plan? What is your plan for unification? Divisions, Antiguans, Barbadians, Crucians. This fight is greater than an island. Unification is the only way to fight these demons. Let's forgive each other for the sake of our sons and daughters. Africans called, petition, Haitians, Trinidadians, Jamaicans, St. Thomians, living in these Virgin Islands. It's time for unification. It's the only way to redemption and mental emancipation. That's the part. You know, just want to share with you how I see everything, you know. I be in Africa, now they call me black. When I see things, I only see things black. There's no rainbow in sight. I see everything black. As a child, I wrote on a black slate and learned from a blackboard. I wrote a letter and blackmailed it to my black sister on the black continent. There's no rainbow in sight. I see everything black. I was placed on a blacklist when I started visiting my black Mama Africa. I watched as my black prince and princess played on the black sand shows, while my black queen picked blackberries from the blackberry tree. There's no rainbow in sight. I see everything black. In the blackness of the night, I saw a black cat which signaled a black takeover based on black awareness. I sell my black soap and my black seed oil on the black market on Black Fridays. There's no rainbow in sight. I see everything black. In the darkest corners of my mind, my blackness began to shine. There's no rainbow in sight. I see everything black. Total blackout. Blackness. Rastafari. You know, people should always see themselves first. And this is the biggest problem we have in the Virgin Islands. We are afraid of our Africanness. We are afraid to stand firm for who we are. We are afraid. Look how I have to beg you all to stand around this bandstand only around today. We have to do better, my people. We have to do better. That's why we are being trampled on and trampled on every election and every year, year after year. I'm coming again to talk some more and I ain't done yet. I just put it to time now. But I'm looking.
Okay, my brother prophet, a round of applause, deep poetry. I see the man in the house. Mary, Harry. I see your black face boat in the house. Keep your eyes on the prize, don't blink. Voila! Christmas. I'm on you. Next thing I want to do some poetry for you. What? Come and sit, you can't serve for that. I'm begging you to come close to me. Begging. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Sister Wala, can I do some poetry for you?
Greetings. Good to see all of you out here this good afternoon. Freedom now, or else. What are we going to do? Emancipation, a day of our freedom celebration. It was not a dedication coming from any other nation. A fight for freedom for the next generation. As long as it took, they were shook. Cutlass and cane bill swinging at will, fighting for our freedom were to be fulfilled. Fire burning, people screaming and running. Nothing about that day and time was charming. A price of sacrifice to pay so we can celebrate this powerful history of Emancipation Day. They tell us and teach us about everyone his story in school to keep us illiterate fools. They gave us Queen Elizabeth and King James. When Queen Mary, Matilda, Agnes, Bodo and Martin, King and the fleet never came out of their breath. We've taken this history for granted, but that's not what those who fought, punished and died for what we would have wanted. Be proud. Celebrate Emancipation Day loud. We celebrate another day with the same people that were in our way. Don't get comfortable and roll over. This fight is still on our shoulders. Keep it going for our ancestors. This spirit is strong, so we can move on. Teach our children their history, not his story. I give thanks. Stand strong. I'm coming back.
Yes. Right now in the time of history, Van Schouten call all his military people in a meeting. Slaves is in Frederiksted. Yeah, this is before July 3rd. Van Schouten called the captain of the naval ship. They got a meeting what they're going to do. They were trying to use the cannon to come and blast us. But now we got voila. I tell you what, wait. Aisha is going to do a wonderful dance for you. My dear Emancipation. That dance was a memory of pain. Shackles on the hand displayed the pain that she had. Next, we got a young brother named Brother Halfway. He's going to give a little presentation to you all. Brother Halfway.
What I have to talk about today, I did the history, Mario and the rest know the history. But I want to talk about our future. You hear everybody bawling every day on the radio, bawling, or this thing happening and that thing happening. But nobody doing nothing. We need to do something. What we need to do is get rid of the Democratic Party. They kill everyone here, they ain't doing nothing. Therefore, they can do for years now, they got the majority. And they ain't doing nothing to help the people. They wish me wherever. We need at least 10 independent senators to control the Senate. That's the only way we can get it done. Everybody does. The people and the senators, the kind of legislation they pass is like, it's something, you know, but they got bigger things than that. A lot more bigger things to get into this thing here.
Correct.
We need a lot of people to support the Ndongo Collective. We need researchers, people who want to run for the Senate. We need a lot of people. We get up against a Democratic Party that is the biggest organization in the world, in Netherlands. And they got everything. So for we to go up against these people, we got to form different committees, whatever to them. Bring up our status in this world, in Netherlands. Nothing is happening. We battling every day. Every day. What's that we're going to pinpoint and pick? Battling every day. But nobody is doing nothing. All the information they got, how this happening, they ain't doing nothing. The Inspector General come out with that kind of report about how much things missing, how much people teeth in this, and nobody is there in jail or nothing. But then the young people, when they get catch teeth in things, they're making sure they got what kind of committee they got. Economic Development Committee or something like that. They're running up anybody who teeth in money or who taking things illegally. But they ain't doing nothing but the high officials. Millions of dollars getting out of the territory. And nobody getting jail, nobody getting prosecuted. Just getting banned. So we do something. We got to stand up for something.
She's going to do a presentation with you tonight.
Good evening, greetings. As I stand before you on this July 3rd, 2023, I begin with thanks and gratitude to my ancestors, our ancestors, for making the sacrifices that they made over 175 years ago, that I might stand before you here today. In remembering my ancestors, I also call them forth to stand with me and speak through me as we continue to fight for our mental emancipation, especially for our children and the children of the future. Freedom now or else. That was the chant, the vibration, the energy, the power, the spirit of those 4 words. 4 words that fueled a movement that brought emancipation free from the hand, the cruel and wicked hand of the state system on St. Croix. 5 to 7 years was your life expectancy under the Danish system. 5 to 7 years of hard labor to your death. That was the Danish system. That is what our ancestors an end to. Over 100 years under that system, from 1734 to 1848, on this island of St. Croix. That system occupied this place 5 to 7 years. You know how many people that is that died on this land in 5 to 7 years over the course of 100 years? That energy is our spiritual energy that innovates us. Freedom now or else. Walking and chanting through the night from July 2nd into the morning of July 3rd, coming from the western end of this island, from all over North Shore, Lavani, all of those places, walking, barefoot, most of them. No car, no horse, no donkey and cart. Barefoot, chanting through the night, freedom now or else. To make it here in Frederiksted by 4 in the morning, by sunrise, to gather in this place that we are gathered right now, over 8,000 individuals, Africans, our ancestors, standing on this ground, this same ground that had over 100 years of souls that were lost from 5 to 7 years of hard labor. It was inevitable for them to come to Frederiksted and demand their freedom. Can't be in a place like St. Croix. Freedom now or else. When Brother Mario comes up here to speak this evening, I hope that you all listen with the ears of those ancestors as we call the names of Jeroboam and Abram Martin King and all the others who gathered the bagasse and had it at the corners ready for fire. The others who secured the hiding places for the children that could not make the walk. For the others that siphoned off the gunpowder from the fort so the guns would not fire. The others who came right here to this spot and pulled the weapon post out of it and threw it in the ocean. Listen with their ears. Call them forth and give them thanks and praise for the sacrifices that they made for us. And that we must continue to make as we ask their assistance in awakening those who have fallen asleep to this American dream lullaby that we are all under. St. Croix, is one of the most special places on the planet. What this island has to offer goes far beyond her fertile soils and her beautiful beaches. And those who know, seek to intentionally keep the secrets of St. Croix, just that, secrets. When the Danish occupied St. Croix, exploiting St. Croix for all she had to offer was the prime objective of the Danish West India Company. Exploitation to the nth degree. I would even say that Denmark is wealthy as it is today because of the money that it made on St. Croix. The fruit basket of the Caribbean. That is what St. Croix was called. Aye is an energy vortex. Indulge me a moment, please. The first law of physics, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. We are beings that are innervated by energy. When the body falls off and dies, the energy still exists. It has to be someplace. It's here on St. Croix. 100 years of 5 to 7 years of life, hard labor. 100 years of the worst slave codes in the Caribbean. 100 years of watching your children being sold away. 100 years of watching your women getting raped. 100 years of watching men and women being strapped to a post and whipped to an inch of their life. 100 years. This is the energy that fueled the fight for emancipation. This energy is still here. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. 175 years later, we're still here. That energy is still here. We, this island of St. Croix, and I'm not speaking on St. Thomas, I'm sorry, but my father's from there, but I have no idea. I'm speaking on St. Croix. This is where my neighbor springs are buried. I know this island. This island speaks to me. And those who listen, it speaks to you too. 175 years later. Oh. And we go from a people who are on the precipice of self-sufficiency to being turned into a beggar class, suckling at the teeth of the U.S. federal government cash cow, begging for dollars that are tainted and conditioned with abject poverty in the name of assistance. An educational system that is intentionally keeping our children stupid, dumb, and unimaginative to the degree that they are at a loss, a complete loss, once they graduate. No place to go and nothing to do. A good number of them that do go to university end up having to take remedial classes their freshman year because they are not prepared to be at the university level. Make that make sense. On this island here that I know produced for these same United States one of the founding fathers for the state of California. It's on their charter. But we must stay dumb and ignorant to who we are and where we are from. Make it make sense. Freedom now or else. St. Croix, the VI, is the fourth most murderous place on the planet. Make it make sense. The energy is still here. Our young people are killing each other at an alarming rate. That energy is still here. Right now, they're killing each other. Imagine if we were able to direct that energy. What could we do for ourselves if we were to get our children on page so that they know who they are and where they come from, so that they can feel the energy of this place and express it the way that it's meant to be expressed? Freedom now or else. America is not our savior. American dream is just that, a dream. And everybody knows you only have dreams when you're sleeping. It's time for us to wake up and realize that the American dream can never be our dream. That system was set up intentionally to keep those of a certain hue in a certain place. You have an island here, and those of you who drive these streets know there's a 2-inch strip that runs from east all the way west. Trillions, not billions, trillions of dollars are being made off of this island, regardless of whether we exist on it or not. Those who know. Freedom now or else. Brother Cowboy spoke about the Democratic Party. Two faces of the same coin. Democrat, Republican, call them whatever you want. Never been about us. Never have they been about us. It is time for us to stand up and teach our children who they are, where they are, and why they are here. It is our time. Freedom now or else. I hope, I pray, I am hopeful and prayerful. And I have faith that St. Croix will speak for itself. She always has and she always will. 1848 was not even the beginning of the story, but it began the story. 1878, the story continues. Watch the history of this place. Watch the history of this place. It was just 50 years ago we had Fountain Valley. That's all I'm going to say on that one. Freedom now or else.
Grenada, Antigua, St. Kitts, Nevis, Dominica, St. Lucia, any boat coming from the Lesser Antilles or any coming from the Greater Antilles, Jamaica, or if a boat coming from Barbuda, Cayman Island, or the Talk and Caicos, and they come to Frederiksted Pier. The son, the British give the emancipation, and we is emancipated. But here in the Danish West Indies, Van Schulten realized that happening from 1834 until 1847 when he gave the oil term and said that in 1847 audience said that the children will be free, but you get 12 years for the parents then. And man said, no sir, no way, we want it no or else. And that's why we have to give congrats to UCA, especially coordinating this here for the past half a century. And so when we give it to UCA, knowing that out there at Lagrange, where General Bodo was the sugar boiler, the time has come to lobby our policymakers that UCA M20 could have Lagrange, that if July 3rd, this day here, you come here to Borough Park, but for 364, let's clean up Lagrange. Because same way as still slab, where Martin King came from, right by the graveyard, the windmill there, the great house is there in Tantan and Kasha. It's time for a non-profit organization in Rastafari. Organization to lead the way, clean it up. Estate Negro Bay. They and the Belvin Evans Highway. Where Hurricane Maria hit. You see all the houses, the row houses, you see the Asian windmill. When you go to all these windmills have had 1747, even before the 1776 American independence, when they 13 cannons fire to celebrate a new independent nation that fight against King James with the 13th colony. Those windmills is before that. So now as African descendants and know the history of July 3rd, it leave for us now to clean up these historic sites. When you understand where Martin King had to go find, if it's Born Esperance, they have a windmill. And you go by Born Esperance windmill, you will see the same 1745. You go by Adventure windmill, you go Negro Bay, you go Slap. Even in Lower Bethlehem, if you go to the archives of Copenhagen, Denmark, they will identify all these estates that came down here, just close to 8,000 to 9,000 strong, to demand their freedom. So we have it now here. As African descendants, we get to clean up these places here and own them, because the VA government own them. And so now we have our policymakers. And so that's why I'm going to try to work with the preamble for the 5th Constitutional Convention. And I got to read it out. And so when I read it out, he said, we the people of the Virgin Islands, gratefully to the Almighty God of our creation, preservation, freedom, and divine guidance, mindful of the Virgin Islands' heritage, uniqueness, assuming the responsibility of self-government and an unincorporated territory of the United States. In order to promote more unity among our islands for ourselves and our prosperity, to promote the general welfare, to protect the fundamental rights and freedom of the individuals, and to ensure political, social, economic justice, and to maintain a republican form of government, to protect our cultural natural resource and preserve our identity of the Virgin Islands. Whereas we recognize the original indigenous people who inhabited these islands, we especially recognize the significant hardship endured by enslaved Africans during the period of European colonial rule, in which precipitate
the 1732 Revolution of St. John, and the successful 1848 Emancipation Insurrection, and the 1878 fireball 30 years after St. Croix, and the 1892 Cold Walker Strike and St. Thomas. When you read the preamble of the 5th Constitution, and you understand that in July 3rd, they give them 3 months, Van Schulten give 3 months to get back at the plantation. And so by the time he gave them 3 months to get back at the plantation, and he declared martial law, the question is, after 175 years, when Bodo leave and a ship right here, they say we're going to that. You most likely know that the feeling to the shark, the people say this didn't seem to be that. Someone said, yeah, someone said that the scene we are. But we know what the Dr. General Bodo, Martin King, because of the ordinance for the 3 months, Martin King went up through the hills from Slab, Blue Mountain, Mount Eagle, Hamilton, Calcahoon. Some individuals will tell you that the thing St. Van Schulten stone crazy. He wanted to know, but wait, how 228 years old could damage me like this here? When he went back to Denmark, a madman that they wanted to say put him in jail. So now you hear them say, and he ain't got him. Something they say Van Schulten is the liberator. And to say they want to confuse we. But we know these 220 years old is what make we are here today. And so with these 228 years old that make us here today, the time come down that the 1849 Labor Act law came into place after the October 1st. That's why you kind of have for the past half a century. Also, October 1st for the fireman wanted 30 years after. But then by the January the 1849, the Labor Act was created the Colonial Council. The Colonial Council from the Labor Act of 1849 went to 1853, 1865. Every October 1st you have to register what plantation you want to go on. And then came the fireburn of 1878 with Queen Mary and them. But most of all, that last stayed in place till the beginning of the 20th century in 1906. And in 1906 colonial law went into the Treaty of 1917 and the Congressional Act of 1917. And after the Congressional Act of 1917 that put us under Navy rule, to the Interior Department in 1931, to Municipal Council in 1936 with the Organic Act, or the Revised Organic Act of 1954, or the 4th Constitutional Convention. This preamble is the only thing acknowledged 1848. We have to embrace this. Trust me, people. I don't care what nationality it is and you feel away, because every Caribbean island after Trinidad, in 1962, when Eric Williams got their independence, or Samantha and Norman Manley in 1962 in Jamaica, that got their independence, or Bradley Adam in Barbados in 1966, that got their independence, or Antigua and Barbuda with Verburg in 1981, that got their independence, or St. Kitts and the eventual Robert Bratcher, and got their independence. We have to defend our self-determination in this struggle here and have a constitution and decide where we get as a people for the next 100 years and mark down the July 3rd as a significant holiday for generations to come, where we have to document. When you see, like when you see farmers selling that Canada right now and videoing this thing, we have to document these things. We say that we have the stenographer to stenographer right there, where you have Kathleen and Diane there that documenting these things. We have to put teams together, document, chronicle. You see Beloved right there. Write so much books for redemption, he and she. All these books, Beloved, right? How to chronicle these things and document these things here for generations to come to see, to know where we're going as a generation. Because we don't know the time or the hour we can end up in found out here. Peace and love, man. Enough respect. That's right, and thank you very much, brother. It's very from that perspective.
Where civilization existed for centuries, where science, mathematics, geography, astronomy and arts were already here. In this time, the struggle from physical slavery into physical emancipation now carry on our quest for mental emancipation. Unprecedented historical event. The ultimatum had to be made. Courage and bravery of our ancestors from Pole Martin, from on their estate over yonder. They came chanting, freedom now, freedom now, freedom now, or else. The gunpowder was removed over time from the cannons and replaced with sand. They came trash piled up on every corner, waiting for the war to destroy. Their minds were made up to make the sacrifice for freedom. 8,000 strong gathered in front of court, demanding freedom now, freedom now, freedom now, or else. We as African descendants must unite and do away with the bourgeoisie inferiority, see the heroic contribution of our ancestors. 1848 will stand as a shining light for us, African descendants, and let us work together, shoulder to shoulder, that the meaning shall rise from the ashes and reclaim unity. Stand strong. Peace. Thank you.
Yes, wonderful, Lala. Next we got Isha with a poem. Hold you. Isha.
Yes, it's me again. I would like to say thanks to everybody for coming out and showing the respect, honoring, the appreciation, and the love for our ancestors who went through what they did and who suffered. And God knows what else they went through. So all of us could be here today. Yes, we need to think on that. And know that if it wasn't for them, we would have never been here. And if we'd been here, we wouldn't want to be so free. Miss Francis after this, I'll sing this poem. And the poem says, bury me in a free land. And it goes like this. Make me a grave where you will. In glory plain or a lofty hill. Make it among earth's humblest grave, but not in a land where men are slaves. I could not rest is among my grave. I heard the steps of a humbling slave. His shadow above my silent tomb would make a place for fearful gloom. I could not rest if I heard the tread of scuffle gangs to the shambles led, and the mother shriek at wild despair rise like a corpse on the humbling ear. I could not sleep if I saw the lash drinking her blood at every fearful lash. And I saw her baby torn from her breast like trembling dog from their parents' nest. I shudder and I start if I heard the bay of bloodhound season. Excuse me. Of bloodhound seasons, the human prey, and I heard the captive plead in vain as they bound afresh his darling chain. I saw young girls
eyes would flash with a mournful flame. My death, pale cheeks grow red with shame. I would sleep, dear friend, with blunted might. Can rob no man of their dearest right. My rest should be calm in any grave where none can call his brother a slave. I ask no monument, proud and high, to arrest the gaze. Rest the gaze of the passerby. All that my yawning spirit crave is bury me not in the land of a slave. Thank you.
Thank you, Aisha. Thank you. Now we got next sister, Celeste. We're going to have a pretty good one for you too. Thank you, Aisha.
Good evening. Before I start this call, I want to say this to you. And I know I'm speaking to the choir, okay? But one of the things that we need to do, and I know you do, is we've got to keep tying ourselves back to Africa. And one of the things that I used to do when I was going into the classrooms, and here's why we have to do it, is we have to, since we got internet, and since we got the phones and everything, because we always talk about Africa, it's like it's a country. Like it's not a whole continent. So what we need to do is, if you're doing it already, show it to someone else, open up the phone and say, let them see the countries of Africa right now. Let them see the cities in the African countries right now, and stop looking at what they're showing in the fake dead gone news constantly, with us walking around with extended stomachs and cans in our hands and babies drifting across the place. And the reason why I'm saying that is, you can go to somewhere in Frederiksted now, you go up into the rainforest, it looks different from Frederiksted. You go to Sunny Isle, it looks different from the rainforest. So they go to wherever they think is the forest or whatever, and they take whatever the foolishness.
Correct.
So we need to change that story. The other thing we need to change on a regular basis is that we're not wanted in Africa. We need to remember that Africa was just as colonized, if not more so, than us here in the Caribbean, because that's where they bring us from. So when you hear someone say, well, they don't want us in Africa, ask them which country, which city in that country did that person say they didn't want us? Because there's a whole lot of countries in Africa that's calling us home. And everybody else is trying to take over Africa. It's the wealthiest continent in the world.
That's right.
And it's huge. It's not small.
That's right.
They're trying to make it smaller. But it's huge. So since we are out there and since we are all of one mind, please, and the children say, when they talk about we want to go to New York City, so really open up the cities that's in Africa. Saida and I used to do it when I used to go into our classroom. We even put it up on the screens. They need to understand that you see that ballpark over there in South Africa got 2 stadiums. We ain't got one. Not one that's functioning now that I know of in the soccer field now over there. So please let them know. Let them know what our motherland looks like. All right. So I said this before the ancestors ring, and I just deliver it. 175th Emancipation of Remembrance. Let me not forget who we be, who we belong to, and who enslaved us. Most of all, why we were enslaved. We were not born on slave ships, but brought across the sea by them. They, our enslavers, the colonialists, the privateers, pirates, all the colonizers knew our truth. Our story began centuries ago on a continent that started with 71 countries, not the 54 countries you hear of today. Those great empires of Africa gave birth to us and birth to the world. The second, July the 2nd, our ancestors definitely knew the truth. As they walked from their homes and passed their food provision rounds with bill hooks, cutlass, and other weapons in hand, they passed the plantations of many acres of land. There they reminded themselves, none of this would exist without us. So 175 years ago, when they began to gather in anticipation for Monday, July the 3rd, they knew blowing those conch shells would feel different. During their gathering across the island, many elders began to speak in their native African tongues. And although those younger no longer spoke the language, they proudly understood the call and responses. Their enslavers believed they'd beaten their language out of them. Speaking it, they moved on. They knew that they built everything within sight, from the wattle and dog homes where many of them still live, to the plantations, grandest of great houses, with their breathtaking mahogany furniture. And through the sugar fields, you could see the sugarcane fields, you could see the windmill high on the high hillsides. They knew that these were more than just mills, but actually pyramids built to the likeness of the great Zimbabwe corn pyramid from the motherland. These ancestors was artisans who definitely not slaves, but architects who knew the processes of making mud blocks, from drying them or heating them in kilns. And the kilns today, there's one still behind Fort Frederick. They made doormat mixed from nature's ingredients, on which these earthworks and manuscripts still hold together today, although built in the 1700s. Their truth was their knowledge didn't start on slave ships, nor here, unless it was taught to them by their ancestors or artfully stored in their bloodline. Many knew no matter how they creolized them in complexion, they were still of African blood and soil. What they could see was that the truth all stood before them, and that in every occupation that they performed, they were the true artisans, and that they were growing stronger in numbers together. In banding together on July 2nd and July 3rd, they also realized that it didn't matter what different African countries they were stolen from, or what other Caribbean islands they were later taken from. No matter what enslaving European nation was in charge, nor who inter-island enslaver partners were, they, the enslaved, outnumbered the enslavers. So they had secured the youngest children back at home as best they could, with the elderly, the sickly, and those afraid to join the fight. Then they prayed to the Most High for guidance. On July 3rd, as they continued west to demand their freedom, because waiting until 1859 was too long a wait to be set free, they reminded each other of their resilience and that they needed to be ready for whatever was ahead of them or behind them. They spoke of the brave ones who journeyed before them, the brave maroons of Africa. Yes, July 3rd changed those who marched on our island of St.Croix and affected those throughout the Danish territory. despite the days that followed being brutal and bloodshed, and with weeks of trials and execution, our story is still written in their history books on how we became emancipated and all throughout the Danish West Indies was declared free. But more came later, and our successes haven't won all our battles yet. Today, the Virgin Islands of St. Croix, the Virgin Islands of St. Croix, is designated as a National Historic Area, recognizing our landscape, history, and culture. But no matter what European nation flags flew here or colonizer now, the fact remains that our African ancestors, which were the true artisans of all the world that were then, and all standing for centuries before you now as historians.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Zuma Benjamin, and today I'm going to be doing a Black Adventure, a homeland security system co-invented by Mary Van Ritson Brown. In 1966, before security systems became fixtures an African American nurse, Mary Van Ritson Brown, devised an early security unit for her own home. She spent many nights at home alone in Queens, New York, while her husband was away. She felt unsafe with the high crime rates in her neighborhood. On top of that, the police were unreliable and unresponsive. So she created a device that would help put her mind at ease. In 1966, Brown invented a system that used a camera that could slide into and look through 4 people from her door. The camera's view would then appear on a monitor in her home, so she could survey any potential criminals. She added other features to the system, including a microphone to speak to anyone at the door, a button to unlock the door, and a button to contact the police. She and her husband took out a patent for the system the same year, and they were awarded a patent 3 years later in 1964. Home security systems commonly used today took various elements from her designs.
Next up, we have a young man, Brother Bilal, step forward for us.
Good evening, my name is Bilal McFarlane. Today I'll be reading about Vicente Guerrero. Vicente Ramon Guerrero was baptized on August 10, 1782 and died February 14, 1831. He was a Mexican soldier and statesman who became the nation's second. He was one of the leading generals who fought against Spain and led the Mexican. During his presidency, he abolished slavery in Mexico. Second president of Mexico was George Washington. Modest in private life as he was great in battle. He stepped down and another was named president. But Abdul Khan brought together the presidency again. His first act was to free all the slaves. This brought him into conflict with Texas, which had been founded by American slaveholders. Guerrero was born a slave of parents in extreme poverty. Was born of slave parents in extreme poverty. Was a lot of people allotted to be for long term. This, which goes against the Today, Guerrero is Mexico's greatest idol, Mexican sea.
She's doing her presentation now. She has freedom fighters also. Next up we have Sister Ajiba.
Good night, everyone. My name is Ajiba Williams, and tonight I will be reading about Gaspar Yanga was an Afro-American that was born on May 14, 1545 and died in 1618. Yanga is known to be an established and achieved self-government for a Maroon colony of free slaves. He was an African man that led a Maroon colony of the slave Africans in the highlands and Britain. During the early period of Spanish colonial rule, in 1609 he successfully resisted the Spanish attack on the colony. The Maroons continued their raids on Spanish settlements. Finally, in 1618, Yanga achieved a great achievement with the colonial government of Maroon settlement. It was later called San Lorenzo de los Domingos, and also San Lorenzo de Mexico. In the late 19th century, Yanga was named as the national hero of Mexico and the first liberator of America. In 1932, the settlement he formed located in today's state of Veracruz was renamed as Yanga in his honor. In continuation to his grand leaders, the rest of the born in 1655 and died in Veracruz in 1695, also known as Zubi was a Brazilian Quilombola leader and one of the pioneers of resistance to slavery of Africans by the Portuguese in colonial Brazil. He was also the last of the kings of the Quilombola Escolares, a settlement of the Afro-Brazilian people who liberated themselves from enslavement in the present-day settlement of Alagoas, Brazil. He revered in Afro-Brazilian culture as a symbol of African freedom.
And next we have her sister, Ananaya. Thank you.
Hi, good night. My name is Adanea and
I have Francois Dominique Toussaint Louverture. Louverture was born on May 20th, 1743. By the age of 33, he became a free man. Toussaint led the Revolutionary Army along with his top officers Jean-Jacques Dessalines and his Henry Christophe. In 1794, after suffering many great losses, the French had no choice but to abolish slavery and free all the enslaved Africans of St. Croix. As a freed man, Louverture tried to obtain wealth and work towards owning his own property. In 1791, he became a leader of the Haitian Revolution and led the enslaved people into a revolt which resulted in them creating an independent state after defeating Napoleon and France. Toussaint was made Governor-General of the colony and protected the island from foreign powers such as Spain and England for many years to come. He became the most powerful man in St. Dominique from 1794 to 1802. Toussaint's achievements during his years in power include social reforms, structuring and organizing a new government, establishing courts of justice, and building public schools. By 1801, Louverture was running the newly independent state and created a constitution where he abolished slavery and made himself governor. Napoleon Bonaparte sent a large force to apprehend Toussaint and restore plantation slavery. After many weeks of fighting, General Charles Leclerc captured Toussaint and deported him to the French Alps. On April 7, 1803, Francois Dominique died of pneumonia after being captured in a prison. Although Toussaint passed, the fight for independence was far from over. With the aid of the British, on November 9, 1803, the French colonial authorities surrendered. In 1804, Haiti became the second independent nation in the Americas. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's fitting that we end with Toussaint Louverture as a freedom fighter on the island of Haiti, as many of our ancestors that were here under French occupation ended up in Haiti when the French gave the island over to the Danish. Brother Rupi is here to continue the program, and thank you. Again, freedom now or else. Our young people are who we are fighting for. Thank you.
Freedom ahead. Yes, moving on. The prophet, Julian the prophet, gonna do his presentation now for you.
Good evening again, family. Good evening, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, and children. I didn't say aunts and uncles and things like that because in our African understanding, my aunt would have been my mother's sister. So the word mother was always there. My niece would have been not my niece, but my brother's daughter or my sister's daughter. Anyhow, before I say what I have to say, I would like to recognize my elder brother, Mr. Mario Moed, who without him, here in this Virgin Islands, most of us wouldn't be sitting here today. Not him alone, but I know that he was a key figure in moving the Emancipation of 1848 to become a legal holiday in the Virgin Islands. Anyhow, you know, it's been 175 years now, and it seems like we are now on pause in the Virgin Islands, or we have regressed. It's been 175 years now that our ancestors stood around this fort and demanded their freedom from enslavement. And today, imagine today, I have to beg my brothers and sisters to form a circle around this food. You know, that's a prime reflection of why we are in the state that we are in today. We have had our own African brothers and sisters in the governmental position since 1970. In the year 1983, one of our brave brothers was able to get legislation to become law here in the Virgin Islands to teach our children about themselves and about the other African brothers and sisters here in the Caribbean. And 40 years later, we are still trying to achieve that. 40 years later.
Wow.
And I attribute our behavior in these Virgin Islands mainly on the fact that we don't know who we are because we have not been taught who we are. We have our young men killing each other here in the Virgin Islands, and murder after murder has become the norm. Murder after murder here in these Virgin Islands have become the norm. We were in physical slavery for 204 years before 1848, when our ancestors stood here and demanded their freedom from that physical slavery. And I would assume that slavery, physical slavery, had become the norm between the masses of people then, where it took 204 years. If it wasn't for the courageous ones who were able to stand firm after 204 years, they could not have achieved that physical, they could have not achieved moving from that physical slavery. And today, 175 years later, we seem to be stuck, or we seem to be on pause within our minds because we are still experiencing mental slavery. If we are still in a battle to get our children to be taught about themselves, you understand? Where on earth is a government doing right by their people if they do not teach their people about themselves? But you see, everything a good politician does is correct. Everything. Whether it's right or wrong. It's called what is politically correct. I'll give you a perfect example of what happened here today, right next to where we are, where they had another celebration. So, money was given from the government, the present government, for this 175 celebration. The decent and correct thing would have been to approach the individuals who are doing this for numerous decades so that they could have been front and center of that celebration. But what they did something that was politically correct. They made sure they put it out there that you can call us if you're interested in taking part. Remember, it's politically correct because we cannot say, they didn't say, you can call us if you want to take part. They didn't come and say, come, let's all do this together. They didn't do that. They put it out there in the wind and in the airways that if you're interested, you can call us if you want to get involved. That was politically correct. That was a nice politician that we elect. That's what they do. They do things that is politically correct to do. Because you know what? They can't justify it. You can't say they didn't tell you. But they never come and say, let's do this because you have been doing this for how many years? So let's do this together and make it grand for the whole of St. Croix. But no. They did it politically correct. And that's what they're continuing to do. And we start aside and we gaze. And we keep say on the radio and we don't do nothing. There are many things we can do. The first thing I would say that we can do, but we shouldn't do, what we can do, we can physically take them out. And we all know what that means. But you know, they are our brothers and sisters, so we won't even do that. Or we are cowards, so we won't do that. Or our neighbors will rat on us because they love them too much. But you know what else we can do? We can go to their homes and call them out and tell them that we're not satisfied with what they're doing to us. We can do that. Or you know what else we can do? We can put in different individuals with a different mindset that have the people's benefit at heart. And individuals you can call on when you're doing something wrong. You know, there's so many things going on in this Virgin Islands today, and there's so many things to talk about. Our elected officials are in the spotlight right now for things they have done here in these Virgin Islands. And some of us are still saying, you think they do it for you? Really? You really think they do it? Huh? And a decent-minded individual, you know what they would have done? They would have begged pardon and stepped down. But no, not these scoundrels. They ain't gonna do that. So what are we prepared to do as individuals here in the Virgin Islands? What are we prepared to do on behalf of our posterity is coming behind of us? What are we prepared to do? Education is the key of any nation. Education, not just any education. Education that suits the masses of the people. Education that suits the masses of the people. Because you can't teach me like I'm a European. You have to teach me about myself. Because knowledge of everything is not important if you don't know what to do with that knowledge when you get it. If you don't know that you are responsible to your people and the place that grow you, that knowledge is useless as an individual. If you think that the knowledge you acquire is only for you and for your own benefit, you are an idiot. If you think that the knowledge you obtain is not for you and the place that grow you, you are an idiot. You need to understand that knowledge of self is the most important knowledge you can have, because it will teach you how to operate within your community. It will teach you and it will give you the understanding that you are responsible for your community and the community that grow you. That's what knowledge of self will teach you. And this is what These terrible politicians know that's why they would not teach our children about themselves. This is what they know. They know that they can continue doing the nonsense that they're doing for decades if we are not educated properly to stand against them. They know. Our children don't know, but they know. But you know what? My mother always said, every rope have an end. And if this is not fixed in a nice and decent manner, I wouldn't want to be around when this rope ends. You know, it will be terrible for our people here when our children realize who have been holding them bondage and hostage from the day they were born. When our children realize who have been holding them hostage, it will be terrible for these individuals here in the Virgin Islands. But I don't care talking too much.
Yeah.
Yeah? Hey. But I don't want to hear what you got to say. I go home. Why is it in the
Oh, you go come out still.
and it's straight like that? Because you know what? If we sit down on our backsides and do nothing for each other, we will continue in the same bullshit that we're in. After 175 years of our ancestors demanding their freedom at this point, I have to beg you all to farm a circle around yourself. It's ridiculous. That's it.
Thank you, Brother Julian. Thank you. Next, I want you all to keep your eyes on the prize. I want you to remember this here. Keep your eyes on the prize and don't blink. Over 40 years, you are trying to tell this government, look, we must teach history in the Virgin Islands. And this is Adel Port Brian. You got some extra money, let's go get one when you buy. But this the man who I consider as Martin King. Okay. Who when you boys been in the corner, bunny weed up there, he comes up policeman and chase you. And then boys is humble up at home. You in the fish market, you don't pay them on it. Sitting down when boat walk up, say, gentlemen, this is no place for this. And if I come back here, and I don't have a rest all of you, I ain't going to the street, I see boat march, you know, with 5 men under arrest for sit down in the fish market. Yeah, this is Martin King. He went to mess. You can't understand tie gun to our children. These things going back up on me. That's the Martin King went to check the village. This is the man when the man come from America and was thieving car and going to the vehicle and register them. This is the man that broke up the rim. This is the man that turn around and tell them, look, keep your eyes on the prize because I tell both, oh Lord, here you appear in the back. Don't let me go and tell you about Martin King. Because this man paid fire 3 members of FBI agent who didn't want children skating and they want to press him and shut him down. He tell me I go win court. And when I done, I'm going to patrol and I'll be a captain. But this is what I've been to hear. A man like Martin King. What can let's keep your eyes on the prize and don't blink. I tell Port Brian. And we want to come up here to the camera. Oh, good. Come on, that to think you're good. I just stop and you can go from there.
Good evening, everybody. I'm going to take up a lot of your time today.
Take your time.
But I know for sure that prove that I'm special.
Go, Robert!
In 1948, when we had our first celebration, the 100th anniversary of 1830.
The mic!
I don't have control of the microphone. I have it talking. I control the body. Sorry about that. What I'm saying is that get a chance to hear from a gentleman who was a little bit older than me up to today. He will tell all the rest of the story. Because they have a tendency, they want to deal with the truth. Or we call it naked truth. We will dress it up from time. And depends on who talking. Good evening again.
Good evening.
I hope you can hear me better this time. I want to make sure that you know all the noise about them. They mean nothing. But I believe we could frighten all of us. One man for sure we ain't frightening it. Because a lot of us know full well. You know, by accident that they're doing that now. They don't plan that. It's that hard. The problem is, too much of us wasting ammunition, killing one another. Save it for the right time. If nobody here ever feel nothing burn in the skin and the thing with none from them thing into it. Just knife. Try to frighten I. Once I frighten I should be afraid. But we have to set an example this year, right just stop wasting time with your ammunition on one another. Use it when they come that day, so they can understand that we're serious. We cannot continue to have the same set of people constructive and peaceful program in St.Croix and Frederiksted. In 1998, they tried that. And our ancestors been here with the wind and the rain, darkening up the town to remind them they don't run this town. So what they doing now, they're the waterfront and that's their game. Save our own event. When we ready for them to get on and run and speed up. We cannot continue with definitions. Our children here to hear and learn about themselves, their ancestry, over 400 years of our ancestors' presence in the Caribbean and Africa. Less than 200 years disruptive, peaceful gathering. We just trapping things already. They are already. What I'm saying, that is only because we continue to allow the same set of them, regardless of who they're working for, to mislead, misinform our children and their parents. They don't want I to understand.
Hi, where are you?
They want to tell us the same.
Mom, where are you?
They want the French, the Greens, and the Germans. Tell them to make sure that I believe in nation. I'm saying tonight, tell you again, I was present only 5 years old in this town, 1858, celebrating September 21st. I was here as family members or participants in the program and the parade. So with that, we want to make sure that we can or listen or take notes, whichever you choose to do. But try to remember that you are here with your children in the same philosophy and the same game that was played hundreds of years ago and up to now, even we must start that kind of behavior. Somebody got to teach these people, and we must teach them the lesson. we are not going to disruption to our peace with the. So with that, we'll stop right here. And now, when I'm moving, you had the rest of the story. You and the children and your family enjoy the rest. Take the notes of the events. Feel comfortable. And we got enough of us here, more than any other organization and really hard military they got in Frederiksted tonight. So we are the larger members, children and others. So again, I'd like to thank UCA, the organizations, inviting me to be a participant and to be here and listen and enjoy to the rest of this speaking. Good evening and thank you for your time.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is our man working for the past 40 years, fighting to change things here in the voting island. And trust me, in a short while we will get Rasfeda! Rasfeda got to say something, and then after he did that, I don't know what them people do back there, you know, they try to sabotage people. I want to make a change when next. After Rasfeda, against the administration plan, it gets to my brain, like it thinks something wrong with them. Rasfeda! Praise the Lord. Welcome to the general. Okay, we were waiting for Rasfeda. I pray that we don't start them before Mario speak, because if they do that, I might have to Africa for us.
Greetings in the name of blackness. Yes, love and guidance from UCA M20. Love to see the amount of people in the audience recognizing it's time for mental emancipation. Yeah! Rastafari! The movement of Jah people. I got a story to tell you. When I joined UCA, learning about history about St.Croix and things. Me and brethren like Allah, Shabazz, Noah, Felici, Juma, and others. We used to go exploring the hills when we learn of history what take place here. And we went all in Baga Valleys, where Martin King come from. And I tell you, watching it from up on the mountainside, that's a glorious estate that black people should know about. Even when we went over to Blue Mountain, where Martin King and the fleet went, the vibes of ancestral was deep. So imagine Bodo and Martin King and 8,000 African descendants gather here to demonstrate mental frustration and depression. To be free from the chains and the whip back on this day, 1848. Now it's 175 years. And the bourgeoisie and them gather themselves together to say claiming they're going to do something. But I know, say, who Jah bless, no one curse. Yes. Yes, black people, I contact the whalers and they turn me into one of the sailors. No black I no cry. No black I no cry. No black eye, no cry. No black eye, no cry. Hey, yes, I remember right here in St.Croix, within the 1848 scene, with General Bodo and Admiral Martin King, mingling with African people they meet. To the friends they had, or who friends they have lost along that way. In this great future, we can't forget that past, but dry in tears and say, no black eye, no cry. No black eye, no cry. I say, oh little Africans, don't get no tears. No black eye, no cry. Hey, yes, I remember right here in St.Croix, within the 1848 scene, yeah. And then General Bodo will light the Emancipation firelight. Love would burn out through that night. Realizing we are the chosen one, freeing us from physical slavery. So I say to you and you and you and them, Africa, our destiny. So while we're here, everything gonna be alright. Everything gonna be alright. You gotta see your black light. Let it shine from within tonight. Let it see that light tonight. And let it shine from within tonight. Let it shine alright. Let it come from within tonight. And no black eye, no cry. No black eye, no cry. I say, oh little Africans, don't shed no tears. No black eye, no cry. One more time we will say, 1848, we break the chain, break the barriers down. No black eye, no cry. One more time, oh African descent, don't be afraid. Mental emancipation tonight. Yes, as I say, I'm a member of the whalers. We are rebels, we come to free the soul, to free the shackles. I'm a disciple of Emancipation. So for black people, we try to do plenty. That song was devoted for 1848 and General Bodo and the King. Ja! Love and guidance. Yes, Rookie, come in. I don't know too much. Come and let Mario give them more strength for the heart. Ragga-dagga-ding dang dayla. Yeah, my sister. Ragga-dagga-ding dang dayla. It's a long time we've been doing music. Like I used to say. Listen, Mr. Hess. You got St.Croix here in a mess. The people suffering every day. Yeah, man. Mario, burning fire can be within. African redemption is what we bring. East, west, north, and south. We spread it all around. Yeah. Revelation has gone through. Mario, my bigger brother. Mario, our bigger brother. Come spread some light in our mind tonight. Light in our mind tonight.
inspiration for meditation. Yeah. I walk. Yeah. Yeah, my brother. Step in later. That's word. And I know the word. Need a claim, no claim. But not to take the blame. Yes.
Who still exists to stay wicked the boat shall roll and change the land. The boat shall roll and change the land. La 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 la
Freedom now! Freedom now! I hear you. Freedom now! Beloved, they tell me that I have to stand back to be under the light. So I stayed in the middle of the bandstand. But I need to tell you something about the bandstand because it's all part of the history. They said turn up the mic because I can't turn up my voice no bigger. In 1970, I, along with United Caribbean Association, UCA, we had a rally on this bandstand, and they brought out the National Guard, and it was fully armed with all kind of weapons right there on Custom House Street. The next day, my mother tell me, Mario, they nearly shut you down on top of your compadre. That's history that I'm going to explain to you right now. I was born in my mother's bed, 2 blocks of King Street right here, in the year 1939. Brother Rookie, I want you to look at the bottom of the steps of the bandstand. What is the number you see there? It said 1939. And I was born just up the street in my mother's bed in 1939. And she had to live long enough that in 1970, she thought the National Guard was going to shut me down on top of my compadre, because that's what this bandstand is to me. The bandstand and me is compadre. Beloved, you have any idea
what 8,000 black people look like crowded around this bandstand? No, because we never had it. But you could imagine what 8,000 of our enslaved ancestors look like surrounding this fort. I want you to know that it was a sacrifice. They had to believe that Admiral Martin King was telling the truth when he said, they can't shoot you down. And he could say that because as the Admiral of the fleet, they had made sure that all the gunpowder in this fort had disappeared and turned into sand. And yet today, in the year 2023, we so stupid that we would believe that 8,000 enslaved Africans unarmed would not be shot down because they said that the Governor General lived with a black woman and he so loved black people, he refused to shoot the people down. Before we go too far, let me just tell you, after the Governor General surrendered at 4 o'clock on July 3rd, 1848, they went to Bazen, Frederiksted, and they opened fire on over 2,000 of our ancestors. They say an undetermined number of our ancestors was slaughtered. And up to today, the good-for-nothing misleaders that we put in our government will not even put a plaque in memory of our ancestors that were slaughtered in Frederiksted. Instead, they would want to accuse us now in West End and say we prejudice because we just uphold our ancestors in reverence and respect every July 3rd. Why they don't speak to them that were slaughtered in Frederiksted? We are allowing them to divide us, put us one against the other. Well, let me get on with the story, because the good-for-nothing misleaders, they got the mind make up that they got put on a big musical event here to draw out the history that they don't want you to know. So let me hurry up and try to tell you the story. Thank you. Thank you.
I got a comment go from 5 to 12. 3 to 12. What happened to the comment for 12? What are you talking about? Hurry the mic.
The trouble started in 1835. 1834. That is the year the British government realized that they could grow sugar in India cheaper than they could in the Caribbean with African slave labor. So the British government abolished physical slavery in the Caribbean, and everybody thought they were such benevolent, loving people. But it was much more profitable for them to grow sugarcane in India than to grow sugarcane in the Caribbean, after they had to pay to control our ancestors and feed and clothe us. So in 1834, the British government abolished physical slavery in the Caribbean. Beloved, it was bad enough before, but this was when our ancestors find another gear. It was a common thing to stay in the cane piece and stone the gendarme and the horse when they pass in the road, because the horse will not go through the cane piece. This was just one of the ways that our ancestors started to demand the freedom that just next door in the British Virgin Islands, they had gotten their freedom from physical slavery. The restlessness continued, and the Danish government was trying their best to contain our ancestors. They probably don't tell you that good for nothing, that they so love black people, that he started schools for the enslaved children in the Danish West Indies. You ever hear about that? Van Schulten had schools. You ever been to a school where you don't learn to read and write? I'm talking about Sunday school. I'm talking about Van Schulten School, where you learn to obey your masters, and they call it school. But you're good for us misleaders that you put in office today will tell you Van Schulten was a good man. He even provided children with school. Next time you hear that, tell them that Mario tell you to ask them, how come our children didn't learn to read and write in the school? The next thing that the man they said was so good to our ancestors did, in the year 1843, he traveled all the way to Paris, France. Why did he do that? Because in Guadeloupe and Martinique, they were saying if the Haitian could beat Napoleon, we done with slavery, and to hell with Paris, France. Van Schulten begged the king, the French king, please, this is in the year 1843, 5 years before 1848. He traveled to Paris, France. In the month of May, 1848, France abolished physical enslavement in the Caribbean. I'm telling you this so that you could feel how your ancestors feel it as we get it to July 3rd, 1848. But before that, after Van Schulten went to France begging them not to abolish physical slavery in the Caribbean, the same Van Schulten that they say so loved our ancestors, he shut down the Baptist churches. He shut down the Methodist churches. He shut down the Quaker churches. Why? Because they was advocating in church that slavery was evil. Van Schulten shut them down. I don't know if you know this, but Denmark had a state religion. It was called the Lutheran Church. So that any other religion that wanted to practice in the Danish West Indies, you had to get a license. And they gave out licenses to the Baptists, to the Methodists, the Quakers, and they take them back. Notice I didn't say anything about the Catholic Church. I want you to know the Catholic Church get a license. But they tell the Catholic Church, you cannot baptize any African. Don't ask me why they don't teach all this thing in school. Can we didn't court fighting them? As we get closer, you must know the same Van Schulten, when they say so loved our ancestors, he shut down the Sunday market. Shut it down. You know that there was a crime for any white man to leave his boat unattended in the Danish West Indies. Why was that? Because our ancestors that they say was so stupid, any boat that they're gonna get, they would thief it and sail to the BVI. They don't teach you that in school. They don't even teach you that our ancestors were swimming from St. John to Tortola to get away from physical enslavement. They don't teach you that. Well, beloved, water was more than flour for Van Schulten. And he and the Danish government couldn't figure out what to do to keep our ancestors in chain. Well, to show you how they just think, their mentality, in 1847, 1 year before 1848, the Danish parliament in Copenhagen, Denmark, they said they have the answer. The answer that they gave was read to the public in September of 1847. That proclamation from the Danish parliament said, as of now, every child born in the Danish West Indies is born free. And in 12 years' time, 1859, all adults would be free. Beloved, freedom now! Let me hear you. Freedom now! Freedom now! Now we're starting to feel you, because that is what your ancestors said. Nam ta go so. Freedom now or else. And they started to figure out how they was going to do it, because this was a military installation. Cannons was all over this fort. They got now, but they had cannons all over this fort. The question was how to neutralize this Danish military installation. How you going to demand your freedom now when they going to shut you down and you ain't got no gun to shoot back with? Well, beloved, you had a man from Bangamalin named Martin King. And he had a set of supporters, followers. Nowadays they would call it a gang or a crew. But in them days they call it the fleet. And they call Martin King the Admiral. The Admiral and the fleet. We know who does walk in the fort. We know how we can get in there. We know what we have to do. If you got the spine, the testicular fortitude, the cojones, we could get rid of the gunpowder and neutralize that big bad foot. Admiral Martin King of the fleet said, wait, take your time, that could work, but you got to know that they got so much soldiers inside the fort now. As soon as the crop starts in January and they start making sugar, they got to come out of the fort to stand guard over this warehouse that you today know as UCA. That was when they stored the sugar in Hag's Head. You know what's a Hag's Head? A Hag's Head was a barrel 10 times the size of the barrel you know today. They call it a Hag's Head. That is where they pack the sugar in, store it in this warehouse right here, until the ship comes to take it to Denmark. Admiral Martin King and the fleet said, we got to wait until they start bringing down the sugar, because the seals have done them in the food. They got to come out to guard the sugar, because them niggas gonna thief the sugar. Well, while they was guarding the sugar, the fleet was thieving gunpowder and giving them sand. Beloved, it wasn't easy, and it didn't happen overnight. Some days, they couldn't get close to the gunpowder. Sometimes 2-3 days, they couldn't get close to the gunpowder. It was a tedious, dangerous job. And it took them from January, when they start bringing the sugar down, until Friday, the 30th day of June. What happened on Friday, the 30th day of June? Freedom now! Yes! Let me hear you, freedom now! Yes! That was the message. The Admiral and Martin King and the fleet tell them they gunpowder gone. Gunpowder gone. All this Saturday, man running through all the gate, peace sending message. All over the western part of St.Croix, the word is freedom now! And from Sunday evening, Sunday, the 2nd day of July, I want to feel like drumhead, you know. Need to feel it. Because, beloved, that was when freedom started to flow through the veins of our ancestors. They started to make their way into the town of Frederiksted. From Sunday evening, the 2nd day of July. Drum beating, conch shell blowing, church bell ringing, and our enslaved Africans from the valley, Bethlehem, Grove, all of them, headed the west, mule cart, barefoot. What it is they were saying? Freedom now! Let me hear you, because this is what I was singing. Freedom now! Beloved, by the time the sun come up in Frederiksted on July 3rd, 1848, even the good for nothing them had to admit it was at least around this fort and said, freedom now! Freedom now! Beloved, General Muro, the young master sugar boil out on a bridge. The thief of white has to give it, and he been riding about. And he ride up to the fort and tell them you got until 12 o'clock noon. Freedom now! When Admiral Martin King come to town on the mule, he come straight where I was standing up here now. I just tell you, this place and I is Compado, 1939, the two of we band, the bandstand and Mario. What was here before this bandstand in 1939? What was here? I hear somebody say a whipping post right there, sir. The whipping post was right there, sir. And that is what Admiral Martin King ride up on the mule, haul it out of the ground and take it down and try it out to sea. When 12 o'clock come, they had a gendarme, some kind of Colonel Casimir, something or the other, was in charge of the fort. He begged Bodo, please, we can't get the Governor General here for 12 o'clock. Please, beloved, all the woman let them to know we don't got the kid trash spread all over. The only place we got the trash is in Frederiksted. It's freedom now or else. Bodo said, we're going to give you to 4 o'clock. The woman then said, if 4 o'clock come, we ain't waiting again. We're going to light the trash. Well, you don't know. They know just as well as we. Freedom now or else is a serious matter. And the Governor General Peter Van Schulten roll up right over that entrance. And he said, I surrender. All and free, and today free. Freedom now. What happened to the people of East? What happened to the people of Bazen? We need to teach you that in school. We didn't have telephone. You couldn't text them in Christian state to tell them about what's going on there in West. The people of East get half of the message, and they thought it was their turn to take over Christian state. When the same white man that they say so love black people And that's why they didn't shoot them down. Right here, July 3rd, they opened fire and over 2,000 people, our ancestors, trying to enter the town of Frederiksted to take it over. Well, beloved, they're running me out. All I can say is I leave you. Freedom now!
This is what we call Bojo. This is the man that been dealing with the government all the time and the radio program for over 50 years. And if they were listening to Mario and Bob, they'd never be in this sick condition.
We shaking. We fall in our arms and we chips in our teeth. We put in our hands and our hips and we roll in our eyes. Because we can't believe what are you allowing to happen to are you. Get up! Wake up! Come together! Hold one head and push back our people. What wrong with you? We've been tortured, beaten to death. We've been whipped until our skin them peel off. We've been whipped until our skin them tear open and our flesh dropping off our body in chunks. Leaving our we with scars. Thick scars. We've been kicked like dogs. We've been treated like animals. We've been starved. We've been hung. We've been raped. We've been burned alive. We even get our hand and our foot chop off. And we went through that. And we didn't give up. We been tortured and we suffer and we didn't give up. And we did all of that. And we went through all of that just so I could have a better life. Woo! But look at that. Wake up! Get up! Come together! Hold one head! Stand firm! Push back! Fight back! Love one another! But love yourself! Woo! And we